Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to another fun and entertaining video. And Tyler Meyer, a subscriber of mine, requested that I bury the entire WWE roster. Now, if you guys, I would suggest maybe taking a look at my AEW roster video where I buried the roster, but I did give credit where credit was due. You know, I praised people on the roster. I tore down the roster. You know, it was a pretty fair assessment, I believe, so go check that one out. But I'm going to take this great suggestion by Tyler and proceed to analyze the entire WWE roster and bury it where it is deserved. And I'll praise people when I come upon them. So we're going to do the same thing we did in the AEW video. We're going to look at the web page, their WWE.com Superstars page, and run through the stars one at a time, and it's going to be in alphabetical order. So it's going to be a nice little clean run through, and you'll be able to know what my opinions are on each star. So guys, without any further ado, let's take a look at the website and start burying everyone. Anyway, so here we go, guys. Aiden English. So Aiden English, this guy started off in the Vaudevillains, and I guess by WWE standards, you know, I always cringed at saying that someone's popular when barely anyone's watching, but the Vaudevillains, I guess, were popular, you know, tag team wrestlers. And then, you know, Simon Gotch, his partner, ended up getting fired. And then Aiden ended up in the I almost said New Day, Rusev Day, which was a team of Rusev and Aiden English, and these were probably, you know, these guys represented this time two struggling stars. You know, they were a team. The crowd liked the Rusev Day gimmick, you know, where like every day was Rusev Day, and Aiden English, you know, has a nice singing voice, so he would say it's Rusev Day, and you know. This is the thing about Aiden English. He doesn't look like a star, but he does sound like one. But when he's not singing, there's nothing special to this guy. He's not imposing. He doesn't have a presence. And I don't know what happened to Rusev. He's not even on TV anymore. And Aiden was involved in this horrible storyline where he turned on Rusev. He attacked him. But I've never seen where the attacker ends up looking so weak, you know. Remember Shawn Michaels of the Rockers? He took his tag partner, the heel, and he threw him through the barbershop window. Remember? And like that. Now that was like how you turn on a tag partner. And Aiden English ended up, you know, getting beaten down by Rusev. He pretended like he was having an affair with Lana. And then Rusev just proceeded to beat the ever-living daylights out of him. Now he's a commentator in NXT. I believe it's NXT. And it's been downhill ever since. But, you know, I can't say that he deserves better because, you know, it's Aiden English, guys. AJ Styles. Now, I am a big AJ Styles fan. But I don't think that there's a guy on the roster who has had a bigger roller coaster since appearing at the Royal Rumble in 2016. This guy's been WWE champion, he's been US champion. I mean, like, what is it nowadays that no one can stay at the top? I've said this on a number of occasions throughout my Raw and SmackDown reviews. Why is it that, you know, if you win a WWE championship, they can never seem to keep you at the top? Like, this was never a problem for, you know, Macho Man or Stone Cold or The Undertaker. You've never seen these guys going back and winning secondary titles. Once in a while, you know, Triple H won the Intercontinental title. I've mentioned this a few times back in 2001. But this was, you know, more due to the fact that they were simply trying to, you know, him and Stone Cold were trying to win all the titles. But AJ Styles, you know, a talented guy. He's good on the mic, but, you know, I don't know, I was watching him on Raw with Stone Cold, and he just, you know, he sounded like a total dweeb. Oh, Stone Cold, you shut up. You know, he's much better as a heel. But then when he's a face, I mean, oh my God, that baby face run he had in, what was it, 2017? What a horrible run that was. It was like seemingly endless. No, that was in 2018. Excuse me, 2018. He was like the champion for 14 months. It was unbearable torture. You know, the fact that AJ Styles has had a more successful career in TNA, that shouldn't be a thing. I mean, you know, people waited years for him to come to the WWE, and now he's here, and, you know, what does he really have to show for it? Just a lot of ups and downs, and, you know, he's WWE champion. He's like a main eventer one day, and then the next day he's a mid-carder. I don't get it, guys. I mean, he deserves better. He deserves a lot better than, you know, what he's getting. Akam. This guy right here, he is, you know, he's big, he's imposing, but, you know, let's be honest, guy. He's a tag team wrestler that, you know, that WWE has failed once again. You know, they gave these guys the tag belts, and, you know, he's got the, you know, Razor and Akam. You know, I believe one of them is injured. I think it may be Razor. I feel like he's been injured forever. I don't know what that's all about. But, you know, the Authors of Pain, this team should have been dominant. They should have been, like, at the top of their game. They should have, you know, been dominating everybody. But instead, you know, they put them with Drake Maverick. And, you know, the guy was peeing in his pants. He was overshadowing them. And it was completely ridiculous. I mean, like a big imposing team. This shows just how horrible creative is. Like, you can't figure out what to do with these guys. Like, they couldn't even go, like, a few matches, like, winning. Like, they had to be losing and stuff like that. They were getting rolled up by Apollo Crews. It was pathetic. Akira Tozawa, I can't believe that this guy even beat Neville once for the Cruiserweight Championship, and then the very next night they gave it back to Neville, realizing they made a huge mistake. I don't know what this guy's still doing here. You know, honestly, like, you know, there's nothing to him. The only allure is that, I'm sorry to say, he's Japanese. And, you know, of course, if he's Japanese, people feel that automatically makes him a great wrestler. Just like if someone's Canadian, that automatically makes them a great wrestler. I know, you know, this is just a fallacy that needs to be, you know, just put aside already. That's not the case. It doesn't matter what someone is. What they're a star if they're a star, and, you know, they're a nobody if they're a nobody. You know what I mean? Okay, Aleister Black. The guy has the look. He's got the character and everything. But the minute he gets into the WWE off the NXT roster, what do they do with him? They slap him in a team with Ricochet, which was probably one of the oddest pairings I have ever seen. Oh, look at this guy. Look at all the tattoos. Look at the entrance. Look at the guy. Look at the face. And what are we going to do with this guy? Oh, I know. We'll put him in, you know, in a team with Ricochet, who just looks like a nobody goofball. I don't get, like, how they take a look at these stars and they don't see, like, what we see. I just don't know, you know. Like I'm saying, it's like McMahon knows stars. He's, you know, he's put Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker at the top. So, like, how is it that, you know, you got these people that are getting featured on television, and then you got a guy like Aleister Black where he's just stuck in the back, you know, for months on end with, you know, just cutting, like, aimless promos, and then they just slap him in a SummerSlam match with Cesaro. That's why I wasn't going to watch that garbage. I mean, no respect for the talent. Alexa Bliss. I did a top 10 women's video, and I actually put Alexa Bliss on it, and I still stand by that. I have seen this girl, how talented and how hardworking she is. I saw her in that horrible, disgusting This Is Your Life segment with Bayley, and I saw her trying her damnedest to try to pull that garbo out of the gutter, you know, out of just the complete abyss of just bad wrestling segments. And Alexa Bliss, you know, she's got the look, you know, she's attractive, she's got the ability, she's got the mic skills. The Moment of Bliss show has been unbearable, to say the least. It's just been horribly booked. It's no fault of her own. This girl obviously tries. She's also had problems with concussions due to, these dangerous matches, that the WWE puts them in. And, like in the Elimination Chamber. And then, they worry why everyone ends up with concussions. And, they were trying to hide it. They were doing, they were keeping her on Moment of the Bliss. And then they were making her the WrestleMania host. All these excuses with no medical updates. They were being extremely secretive. Because, they were just fresh off of Paige retiring. And Daniel Bryan, his story, he ended up coming back, but you get the point. And now, what are they doing? She returns to the ring, and they put her in a team with Nikki Cross, of all people. And it's like, why? There's so much talent here. Why? Ali. You can thank this guy, Mustafa Ali, who is now just Ali, because, no one's allowed to basically have a first name anymore. This happened to Cesaro, Antonio, or, well, sometimes, you're not even allowed to have a last name, like Big E Langston, that went away. So, whatever the point may be, Ali, this was a guy that, I don't get why they even made a big deal out of this guy. They brought him over from 205 Live, and hey, let's put this guy in a world title picture. And, he ended up getting injured. They took him out of the Elimination Chamber. They put Kofi Kingston in his place. And, well, the rest is history. This guy right here, I don't get it. I don't see what everyone sees in him. He does an impressive flip move off the top rope. But now with everyone doing flip moves, including the WWE Universal Champion Seth Rollins, why is this even a special thing anymore? Alicia Fox. A lot of personality. She's definitely a talent. But I have to ask the question. When they did the Raw reunion show, why was she on that poster of legends? I wouldn't go that far. But, she's got the look. She's definitely got the character. But every single time they tried giving her the spotlight, they pulled it off of her for some reason. No fault of her own. But once again, creative. They see that Alicia Fox is willing to get creative, more creative than creative, but, they keep on just screwing her over, and, now she's basically in obscurity. Andrade, I said it time and time again, the guy looks like a star, he carries himself like one. His feud with Rey Mysterio could have been his entry into greatness, to future greatness, but, of course, WWE had different plans. And they've acted very weird with him. They took away his character, his vignettes and everything. And now he's just basically just a plain guy. They end up doing this to a lot of people. They strip their character away from them. And then they end up just in obscurity, where kind of Andrade is. And he's kind of had this weird on-again, off-again feud. I haven't been watching the shows, but I've seen what YouTube, what WWE's been posting on YouTube, and he sometimes will have a match with Mysterio. They keep going back and forth to this feud, and there's no end in sight. They have no plan for this guy. It's quite obvious. Apollo Crews. Now, this guy's got the look. It's just every single time he opens his mouth, and I don't know what it is. I mean, he's got the look, he's got the physique, but the face... No, and there's just something about him, the presence, even though he's got the physique. I will usually say that is a lot of times all that the wrestler needs, but, there's been many cases where we've had guys with a lot of great physiques where they didn't get over. So, Apollo Crews is something like that. Now, the Titus Worldwide stuff, that was some of the cringiest stuff I've seen. And this guy just, he doesn't have it. I've seen him in NXT. I've seen him on Raw. It's just, he doesn't deserve to be there, really. There's nothing about this guy. He's athletic and all that, but, he doesn't, he doesn't have what it takes. Arya Daivari, when they said Daivari, I keep on thinking of what was his name? Muhammad Hassan. That Daivari that was with him, his partner. This guy's another Daivari. He's a 205 Live guy, and there's, he's a heel. There's not really a lot else to say. Asuka. Now, I've done many a rant on Asuka. They shoved her down our throats. Of course, everyone complains about Roman Reigns and everything like that. But, no one complained about Asuka. They gave her the Royal Rumble back in 2018 just so she could lose. It was one of the weirdest Royal Rumbles ever, where both Royal Rumble winners, her and Nakamura, went on to their respective WrestleMania matches and then ended up losing, not even winning the championships that everyone thought that, well, of course Asuka was going to win, but that didn't happen. And from that point on, it was a downward spiral, and now they've got her in a team with Kairi Sane. They also gave her the belt right before WrestleMania, only to rip it away from her, so they could have the triple threat match with both belts. The Ronda Rousey triple threat match with Becky Lynch and Cringy Lynch and Charlotte. So it goes without saying that I feel bad for Asuka. I mean, she definitely has a presence to her. She's got the look, but I don't know, like, why WWE does this to her. I've never seen this before, where they have someone win the first ever women's Royal Rumble, and then it was a total bust from that point on. Baron Corbin. Now, people love just crapping on this guy. But I said I had seen potential in Baron Corbin even when he was the Raw GM. The guy tried. He improved a lot on the mic. He doesn't get any credit for it. I like his finisher. It's a good, nice, quick, high-impact finisher. He's got the look. When he was NXT, he was hating on all the internet darlings. And I like that about Corbin. The feud he had with Aries, he showed a lot of potential. It's just that they've been, for some reason he made a couple of questionable tweets about like the whole NFL concussion scandal. WWE got mad because they're very sensitive when it comes to concussions because, they caused them. And so Corbin ended up getting a lot of flack and a lot of heat backstage, but instead of suspending him or doing something like that or fining him, they do what they always do. They embarrass them on TV. They had John Cena come out there, call him a dumpster fire, make fun of him, lose his money in the bank briefcase in the most embarrassing fashion possible. They stripped him of everything, stripped him of his pride, stripped him of the briefcase, stripped him of his integrity, and then they sit around and wonder why is he not over? I mean, it's complete ridiculousness. But now they got him in the King of the Ring tournament, and I don't know, maybe he'll win it, then they'll have him walk around with a crown and a robe on, and then they'll, of course, proceed to wonder why he's not over. Bayley. So, some people were asking me, why didn't I do a video on Bayley turning heel? Because I don't like Bayley. I don't want to talk about Bayley. Now, at least with Cringy Lynch, at least, she's hot, and, when I read stories and I have to see pictures of her, I don't cringe. But like Bayley, I'm sorry. I don't like looking at Bayley. I think she's like not attractive. And I've never liked Bayley. You can listen to all my rants, and back when I used to review NXT shows, I never liked Bayley. I never liked the used car lot thing that flies around at the entryway. She's always in the team with Sasha Banks. It's like, it's unbearable already. I just cannot bear it anymore with Bayley. I don't see what all the hype around Bayley is. Oh, she's a great women's wrestler. It's like, guys, if you're a fully grown man wearing a I'm a hugger t-shirt, it's time to rethink your life, basically. Bayley is just total cringe. And speaking of her, Stone Cold Cringy Lynch. And, I didn't do a separate video on this, but, recently she gave a Stone Cold Stunner to Stone Cold in some commercial for some product or service I've never even heard of, so it was completely irrelevant. But, Cringy Lynch has led this whole thing of like this whole feminist movement in WWE where it's all about the women, and we're sorry guys for bra and panties matches. We're sorry for the high ratings, and you guys being interested in wanting to see attractive women in lingerie. I mean, it's now we have to sit there through boring promos, and we have to respect these women for their in-ring ability. It's like, come on already. It's cringe-tastic to the umpteenth power. And, then, Becky Lynch is supposed to be the strong, independent woman, but then she needs a man so badly that she's marrying Seth freaking Rollins, like 5 months into them dating. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing. Well, I have, but, you get the point. I mean, Cringy Lynch, there's something wrong with her. If every morning she wants to wake up to hearing this, can you imagine that? I mean, that would be like a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. I used to like Becky Lynch before the whole, Stone Cold Cringy Lynch character came about, and she started acting like a tough guy or tough girl or tough person, and it started drawing all those comparisons to Stone Cold Steve Austin, which I found to be offensive because, first of all, you don't compare the greatest of all time to Becky Lynch. That's what earned her the sarcastic nickname of Stone Cold Cringy Lynch on this channel. We saw her cutting promos. The King of the Ring 1996. It wasn't televised, but it was on their YouTube channel, and it was one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Becky, an attractive girl that, she gets it done in the ring and everything, but, that WrestleMania match was a disaster. They should have never put so much attention on the women, so much pressure to put them in the main event. I don't know what got into them. They wanted to appeal to the world. Oh, look how much we're pushing the women. It's ridiculous, and I think more than anything, what really irks me the most is the engagement to Seth Rollins, the fact that they're rushing into it, and I just find it to be ironic because it's supposed to be that she's a strong, independent character, and then she's has to rush into a marriage with Rollins. Ugh. Big E Langston. So, right here, I mean, look at the face on Big E. You have to admit more than anything else that this is a total waste of talent. He should have broken up with New Day like a year or two ago. I said it a long time ago. What is Kofi Kingston doing as WWE champion? This guy would have made, I believe, to be a great WWE champion. If you wanted the first ever, fully black WWE champion, that's what they were all clamoring for, because, The Rock is only half black, so we need to have a full one. So Big E Langston has way more charisma than this guy, has a better physique, has a better presence all around. I mean, this guy, the facial expressions, the character, he is by far the most entertaining of the bunch. And just judging on the size, and that Xavier Woods and Kofi are so much smaller, and it would be the perfect time because New Day is played out. How many times have they held these tag belts? More times than I can count. It's been like 7 or 8 times, and it's all within a few year span. It's overkill, and they've done every possible joke, from pancakes to unicorns to dressing up as Final Fantasy characters, and it's been enough already. I have had it up to a year with New Day, and I'm not currently watching the product, but I see what's going on. It's the same thing. They're always a team. Even when Kofi is a singles champion, he's still in the team. He's still in the faction. Big Show. Now, I know this guy's retired, and he deserves all the respect in the world, and I'm happy that he did step away because, quite frankly, it was getting tiring seeing the Big Show already. The joke has been there, the meme that he has turned face and heel more times than anyone could possibly keep track of. But when he came back, he had a pretty good match with Braun Strowman. I will never forget the Big Show and, you know, the great introduction he had into the WWE, throwing Stone Cold into the cage at St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Truly a legend. One of these days he'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame. A memorable star for sure. You know, he definitely, I've got to admit, overstayed his welcome, and that's large in part due to WWE's mishandling of basically everyone on the roster. Of course, he's going to come back and do the sporadic appearance here and there, but, you know, Big Show's kind of in the semi-retired, mostly retired phase of his career. Billy Kay. So, you know, I talked about the Iconics, and people kind of saw the shift I had around the Elimination Chamber right before WrestleMania. I said, there's not enough characters in WWE. But at least with Billy Kay and, you know, in the Iconics, you have, and Peyton Royce, you've got two girls that are pretty consistent, that they act the part. They play like these obnoxious girls, and I know, you know, I said the accent and everything is not the best, but I mean, you know, look at Billy Kay. I mean, it's kind of hard to be mad at her, if you know what I mean. But the thing is, I have to hand it to the Iconics. They try. I see that a lot of times when they do their promos, they improvise. They're a little bit annoying, and I said it was more like just that they're annoying more than them, you know, just playing, you know, the annoying heel character. But I kind of have to say that I have warmed up to them over time, and, you know, they, like I said, at least they have a character. So I gotta give credit where credit's due. They looked a little bit dangerous in the ring, though, at certain times, so that criticism still does stick. Bo Dallas, I don't even know if this guy is on TV anymore, but, you know, definitely one guy that went in a totally different direction than his brother. They both have been wronged by WWE. You know, Bo Dallas, they had this guy who was smiling all the time, and, you know, they tried different incarnations of him. They tried putting him with The Miz. Nothing really worked. And they tried the B Team, which was one of the most absurd things I ever seen, where it was basically the crowd just getting behind these guys for some odd reason. No other reason that besides they were jobbers and they weren't expected to win. And they were doing this ridiculous B Team, go, go, go nonsense. I felt like I was watching a children's show. And now Bo is back to being in obscurity. Obviously, there was a much different plan for Bo Dallas when he was in NXT. WWE obviously viewed this guy as a star, but he's nowhere at the level of his brother. We all see that the guy knows how to talk. He does have a certain look to him. You know, he looks like Bray Wyatt. So it wouldn't be fair to say that, you know, he doesn't look like a star since Bray Wyatt looks like one. But, you know, obviously there's differences, and it's quite clear that he's never going to amount to the level of his brother, unfortunately. But anyway, no one's really too concerned about this guy. Bobby Lashley. Now, you talk about black champions and being the first ever and deserving in 11 years and everything. Now, Bobby Lashley wasn't a consistent star. He went to TNA for many a year, and he's obviously being punished. Obviously, that's why he was relegated to beating up cross-dressing sisters, and in a very bizarre feud with Sami Zayn, which was probably one of the most bizarre things that I saw in 2018. I mean, 2018 was a waste of Lashley's time. This guy came back like the day after Mania, and they just wasted that whole entire year. There was a point where he went one-on-one with Roman Reigns, and it was a complete waste of everyone's time. That amounted to nothing. We were all expecting that was going to be the big moment. Lashley was finally going to get a title shot. Something positive was going to happen. I mean, look at Lashley. How could this guy not be a champion? Are you telling me we have a champion like Seth Rollins, you know, like Kofi Kingston, but this guy is basically a glorified mid-carder. You know, really, seriously, release the guy. If you're not planning on doing anything with him worthwhile, and you're just going to continuously make him look like a goofball, what is the point? Booker T, a great commentator. You know, I'll never believe Corey Graves and even Booker T for what he said. You know, like, oh, it was just a gag, just a joke. It was just something that they were doing. They got one over on the crowd. Oh, you all believed it. No, it was quite evident that a lot of that stuff between Corey Graves and Booker T was unscripted. Also, Wade Keller and all the other goofballs on the internet don't like Booker T. You know, it's funny, they're all social justice warriors, but they all hate on Booker T. You know, and this guy's a legend. I mean, without a doubt, from WCW to WWE, Booker T is, you know, you think of wrestling, and somewhere in there you think of Booker T. You think of all the exploits that he's had. And on commentary, I personally love Booker T. I think when they took him off the Raw announce team, that was one of the biggest mistakes they ever made. All the energy, the passion. I mean, that's Booker T. It screams passion, probably more than anyone else. So I wish they would return him to the commentary table. Braun Strowman. Talk about, you know, we talk about AJ Styles being up and down. At least AJ has won the WWE Championship. Braun Strowman has never won one. Basically, he's in the same spot that he was basically 2 years ago. You know, he won this belt now with Seth Rollins, and then he won it again with the referee's son at WrestleMania. And it was like the same thing every single year. He would, like, they'd build him up right before WrestleMania, or a few months before WrestleMania. They'd build towards it, and then they would bring him all the way down, probably as far as he could go. And let's look at the timeline here. In 2017, he wasn't even at Mania. At Fastlane, before Mania, they actually didn't even have Braun on the show, but they had him wrestling Roman Reigns at Fastlane right before the show, and then he wasn't even featured on Mania. I always thought that was bizarre. Then in 2018, they had nothing else to do with him, so they decided, let's have Braun have a mystery partner at WrestleMania, and it ends up being a little kid. Then in 2019, he had this feud with the cast of SNL, these two bozos, and they end up having a battle royal, which is not even on the main show, it was the pre-show. And now Braun is back, and as of doing this video right now, as of this recording, we now have him headed into a Universal title match against Seth Rollins. Like, honestly, I get it. The guy shows up late. That's why you don't want to push him. If that is the case, then what is he even doing here on the roster then? If he's a tardy employee and you don't like him and you don't like his work ethic, then what is the point? Every single year, you're going to build him up and then bring him back down. I've talked about this on a number of occasions. It looks completely ridiculous. Also, his exploits on social media, I had to unfollow the guy because I'm like, he's so cringeworthy. Oh, stop bullying people. I mean, that's a positive message and everything. I can't be against that. But coming from a character like Braun Strowman, I mean, I know that I'm a proponent of doing away with kayfabe to a certain extent, but Braun Strowman just was ruined for me once I saw him posting that garbage on social media, on IG to be specific. Bray Wyatt. Now, a lot of people have talked to me about, you know, rethinking my Bray Wyatt video I did a few months back when he started doing the Firefly Funhouse Fiend character, and I still stand by that. Besides the guy putting on a cheap Party City, you know, a scary mask, all of a sudden I'm supposed to believe that, like, this is it, like this is the brilliant turn in Bray Wyatt's career, and you know, this is the milestone. Though, like, first of all, they already said that they're only gonna do this sometimes with him because they don't want to wear its welcome out. They don't want people to get sick of it. They want it to feel special. Can I ask a question? Didn't they say the same thing about Sting? And look what happened with him. Oh, let it feel special. First of all, it doesn't even feel special to me when it is on TV. He's beating up random legends, and there's no follow-up. He beat up Mick Foley. He beat up Kurt Angle. What came out of that? I'll tell you, absolutely nothing. Look, Bray Wyatt had a chance. There was a number of chances at WrestleMania with John Cena, WrestleMania 30. When they finally gave him the title in 2017. Bray Wyatt has been up and down, and now the Fiend is supposed to be his character. And people were arguing with me, oh, this was Bray's idea. Look, just because Bray, the wrestler, came up with the idea for his character, I'm not automatically going to say it's genius. Do I think Bray is good on the mic? Do I think he's a genius on the mic? Yes, I think he's very good. I think the way he's played the character throughout the years, and he hasn't let it phase him just how poorly they're handling his character, and he still continues to go out there and give the best performance he can. I got to give all the credit in the world for that. But I'm not going to go back on what I said. I don't really see the point. He's supposed to be a Steve from Blue's Clues, Pee Wee Herman hybrid that has like this hidden dark secret within him. Am I supposed to say that this is brilliant for some reason? Like, I don't think that it is. I'm just saying I don't see it really going anywhere. He's going to have his match at Hell in the Cell. He probably won't win, or maybe he will, but it's like, after so much of Bray Wyatt, are we supposed to sit by and just like hope that something goes right in his career? It's like, after a while, like, I've lost interest. I am not going to, keep on saying like, oh, I'm hoping the best for Bray. No, after a while, I have to say, I'm not even concerned about Bray Wyatt anymore. I hope that this character works out for him to the best that he can deliver this character. But, come on. The Fiend is not going to turn out to be anything huge because we've already had it for several months. And besides it being scary, it's nothing really that appealing that's going to make anyone watch. Everyone says this, oh, how great it is. Oh, it is? So, how come it's not really grabbing me or a lot of other people? Brie Bella, I don't even know what she's doing on here. She's supposed to be retired, but, she's Daniel Bryan's wife. I liked Brie when she was there. Brock Lesnar. Now, I don't really get why they pay Brock all this money. Now, do I like Brock Lesnar? Yes, but they seem to be using him more as a troll. He seems to annoy the smarks, and I always get a kick out of that, of course. But I have to ask the question, why are they paying this guy whatever it is that McMahon... I know he upped the ante earlier this year because he was threatening to go to the UFC. I know that Vince, jacked up, the price for Lesnar, quite a bit. He's paying him more money now. What I have to ask is, why? The ratings are failing. Whether he's on an episode of Raw or not, it still doesn't do good. So, not to say that Lesnar doesn't deserve to be on the roster or anything, or that I don't like him being there. I don't care. First of all, I'm not watching the product. And Lesnar being there, it doesn't even make me want to click on the YouTube clips. Because, he's been there already for a while now. It doesn't feel as special, even when he's not there, because first of all, he takes the belt, basically holds it hostage. He hasn't ever competed on a Raw in, what has it been, 7 years since his return, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, he's holding the title, I get it, we want it to feel special, he only competes on pay-per-views, okay, fine, let that be as it may. I just can't believe that Vince would be willing to pay so much for a guy that doesn't really add a lot to the product. I mean, it's still a lousy product whether he's there or not. And I'm surprised more people don't discuss this here on YouTube. Buddy Murphy. This guy, they drafted him. They took him off at 205 Live. Basically, to just have him get beat up by Roman Reigns. Other than that, I mean, I think that the guy has somewhat of a look to him. And I did like his... I did like the way he carried himself at Survivor Series when he nearly killed Mustafa Ali by pushing him off the top rope. But aside from that, I don't really see why this guy is even on the main roster. Why do they bring these guys up just to do absolutely nothing with them? Byron Sex Addict. I mean, I've been making fun of this guy for years. He's a terrible commentator. I don't know why they continue to have this guy on SmackDown. He makes the most mind-numbingly stupid comments. He's a goof. They make him act so nerdy. It's just so cringeworthy. Well, damn, there's so many B's. We're finally done with the B's and we're on to the C's with Carmella. And I like Carmella. I mean, obviously, I think she's hot as hell. I think that she has a great character. I enjoyed her as women's champion as much as I possibly could. She was good. I mean, her character is a heel, but now they've kind of just made her a valet for R-Truth, and I don't really like her as a face. It doesn't really work. I don't like, she's just like, just their smile right here, just like, I don't know what the hell she's doing. Kathy Kelly, some backstage interviewer. Who cares? Cedric Alexander. I can't even believe that this guy beat Drew McIntyre. That's all I'm gonna say about him. 205 Live guy that they're desperately trying to make into like an upper mid-card star for some reason. I guess because the fans like him. This shrinking audience. Oh, they like him. Let's put him on TV. And it's not even like the guy even gets that big of a reaction. Like, it's because people on the internet type out that they like him. That's good enough for WWE, I guess. Cesaro. So Sheamus is injured right now, and Cesaro's kind of just aimlessly wandering. They haven't known what to do with this guy in quite some time. Vince McMahon said years ago, he called out Cesaro on Stone Cold's podcast, so we basically knew that Cesaro was never going to be anything massive from that point on. But I do enjoy the team with Sheamus. I always have, but the thing is, it's been going on, and they just once in a while will give them the tag titles, but they obviously have nothing planned for the duo moving forward, even when Sheamus comes back. Chad Gable, he cut his hair. He still has the second most annoying voice in WWE. So, everyone was all pissed off that they picked, I can't even, Jason Jordan. Somehow I remembered his name over Chad Gable being Kurt Angle's son. Even though Chad Gable would have made more sense. But, in retrospect, you see why they kind of went with Jason Jordan. Because Chad Gable, I mean, the guy's got a good physique. He's got a good in-ring ability. But, man, it's that voice. And I just, I look at Chad and I don't see a star. Like, everyone's saying, oh, push this guy, push this guy. Okay, push him. Can you imagine Chad Gable with, like, a WWE title on him? Like, how would that look? And then they stuck him with Shelton Benjamin. He was just holding Shelton Benjamin down like an anchor. Like, obviously, Shelton Benjamin was just so much more than him. Charlotte Flair, despite all the hate. Now, I gotta be fair, of course, guys. I like Charlotte. I like the way she carries herself. The WrestleMania main event was way too much for her. But I'm just going to say this right now, guys. The stuff with Andrade might be even more cringy because it's probably even more publicized than Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. At least they keep that a bit more private. Charlotte's like, hey, look at my fiance, guys. Oh, God, Charlotte, give it a rest. Same thing. I think she actually got engaged to Andrade even quicker than Cringy Lynch got engaged to Seth Rollins. But I like Charlotte. I'm a fan. She looks the part. She's a great wrestler. She gets more hate than she deserves. Charlie Caruso, she's hot. And I don't really have much else to say about that. Corey Graves, I'll never forgive this guy for all the crap he said about Booker T. He's a big-time shit talker. And I think he's a goofball. And I hear he's retiring. Good. Kurt Hawkins is obviously such a nice guy. I think he deserves a lot more. They put him on that winning streak. He's entertaining. Just listen to his podcast with Zack Ryder. These guys are so nice. They never complain about being jobbers. They gave him, the tag titles for a few months, and now it's back to business as usual. WWE just loves, crapping on the nice guys, apparently. Curtis Axel. This is Mr. Perfect's son. I always say this time and time again, guys. Curtis Axel, I understand he's not as good in the ring as his father. He doesn't have the same look as his father, but it's Mr. Perfect's son. And the things that they've had this guy do, it's just, if Kurt Hennig was still alive today, I feel like he would just walk up to Vince McMahon and just say F you right in his face. Dana Brooke. I still stand by what I think she's one of the hottest girls on the roster. She's fit, and she just, oh man, what a body. But her career, she was doing all this nonsense. She has a very big mouth on social media, where she talks about, like, every time the WWE posts a picture, she's like, well, we're not considered part of the division. Like, come on. Dana, you have to realize you're in the low mid card. You probably should take a couple of hints from Kurt Hawkins and be a bit more positive. But you're hot. You're hot. Daniel Bryan. This guy, you guys know how I feel about this guy. Daniel Bryan is great, but like what they're doing with him right now, they're wasting a premier talent. They also Kofi Kingston, his push completely shut down Daniel Bryan's run. He had that great environmentalist SJW thing going on, the hipster gimmick. It was incredible. It was a great few months of TV, and thanks to WWE and all the goofball smarks out there, make Kofi the champion. He's been there for 11 years. Completely killed it. And Daniel Bryan, who came back after a career-ending injury, after, being concussed to the point where he couldn't even compete, this is how they treat him. Dash Wilder. The Revival's probably got to be one of the most pointless tag teams I've ever seen. People build them up like there's something amazing. Even if you put them next to Randy Orton, I don't care. They still just come off as a bland, boring tag team. Next, David Otunga. Sometimes he appears and sometimes he doesn't. I don't know what the deal with this guy is on the roster. Sometimes he's on the pre-shows for pay-per-views. I have no idea. I kind of always wondered, like, why this guy, like, usually the pre-show and announcers are for, like, wrestlers that are more experienced. It's kind of the same deal with Corey Graves. Like, he was only a wrestler for, like, 2 years. And then all of a sudden, magically, he's, like, an expert. And he's a really bad commentator, too. Dolph Ziggler. I was a big fan of Dolph Ziggler a few years ago, but, like, now he's in a tag team with Bobby Roode or Robert Roode, and they just have no idea what to do with Dolph Ziggler. And the way how they, like, portray his character, it's very hard to like him, because he comes off as, like, a leech. Like, he just pops out of nowhere and just, like, starts, like, just, interfering in certain feuds and stuff like that. Like, he's a very random star on the roster. And every, like, couple of months, they have him do a work shoot promo. It should have been me! And quite frankly, it gets very annoying. So, that's not really his fault, but WWE has really killed this potentially great star. Drake Maverick. I've enjoyed this guy's escapades as the 24/7 champion, but I kind of see that they're really, like, milking it for all it's worth. Thank God they got past the pissing in his pants routine, though. Drew Gulak. This guy, he was entertaining when they were doing the PowerPoint presentations and everything, but now he just looks like every other indie guy, basically, growing out his beard. And, Enzo Amore, like, made this guy into a star, basically. He pushed him to, perform a little bit more. But, ever since then, ever since 205 Live, Triple H took it over and made it more serious and less character-driven. They took away the PowerPoint presentations. They took away, him dressing in the suit and everything. And now he's just become just like every other indie wrestler. So, yeah, to everyone who says Triple H is going to make wrestling great again, you're insane. Drew McIntyre. I said it time and time again. Why is the guy not WWE? Oh, look at this, guys. We've got a trifecta here. What the hell are you doing here? So, anyway, so you've got... Okay, let's start with Drew here. Drew McIntyre, this guy comes back. Now, I know he went to TNA for a little bit, so maybe there's a little bit of, some bad blood still brewing there. But, Drew McIntyre, this guy gets in the best shape of his life. He comes back. He's worked on his promo skills. He looks like a killer, and they had that moment with Kurt Angle, where he basically was ending his career. And what do? They just have the guy lose to Cedric Alexander. Great. So much potential wasted, which brings me to EC3. This guy, TNA was basically already handing them a star. Impact Wrestling already made this guy. EC3. I mean, they already failed this guy once as Derek Bateman, and I could see why. At first, he just seemed like some generic goofball, but the guy proved himself in Impact Wrestling. He proved how he looked on the mic, in front of the camera, how he sounded on the mic. So they finally put him in front of a TV screen on the main roster once he got out of NXT. I don't even know why they wasted time with him in NXT. He was so much of a bigger star than any of those guys. He gets on the screen. He's there with Alexa Bliss and Dean Ambrose. And, they're all making fun of him. They keep grabbing the mic away so he could talk. And this was like a running gag for a few weeks. Hey, look, the guy who knows how to talk on the mic while everyone else doesn't. Let's make him into a mute. Oh, that's so genius. And now he's just wallowing away on superstars. You see him on Instagram taking pictures with other, and they're just keeping him off TV. It's so sad. Elias. So it looks like they got past the musical performances and everything. Once in a while, the guy wins the 24/7 championship. He was acting as a bodyguard, a pretty bad bodyguard for Shane McMahon, who was getting beaten up by Roman Reigns. But you look at Elias and you watch the guy in the ring. He's very old school. He's not about the flips. He's not about any of that. The guy knows how to work a crowd. He's a great heel. And for some reason, he still has yet to have a WrestleMania match. And I'll never understand why. It's the guy's been on the main roster for how long? And they still haven't got this guy into a Mania match by now. He's had performances and everything. Come on already, guys. Get it together. Do something with him. Ember Moon, she's a vampire. She had a random women's title match recently for some odd reason. I don't know. She's got great legs, which is very distracting. But aside from that, I don't know what all the appeal is about Ember Moon. Epico Cologne, this guy still has a job here. Honestly, he was Los Matadores and all this. I don't know what to say about this. He still has a job. Eric Young. You look back on his body of work in TNA, and you have to just say they have completely failed this guy. I mean, Eric Young. Not only does the guy look like a star, not only does he carry himself like a star, not only is he great on the mic, not only can he be funny, disturbing, all of the above. I mean, Eric Young is a superstar. But I guess the WWE doesn't think so for some reason. He was Insanity. There was a big opportunity there for them to just tear down the house and cause chaos, and they just basically, they all got beat up by who was it? Someone was beat. Oh, the Miz. Yeah, you beat up all three of them. Just pathetic. Eric Young. I just talked about it. Eric Rowan, rather. So this guy is in a feud now with Roman Reigns, after some convoluted mystery, attacker storyline that sounded completely ridiculous. It was reviewed to be Eric Rowan, even though they previously said it wasn't Eric Rowan, but it ended up being Eric Rowan. So it's Eric Rowan. And Eric Rowan is, he's a big dude. In the Wyatt family, I don't know how you mess up a tag team like Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, but somehow they did. The Bludgeon Brothers. Then they paired him with Daniel Bryan. That was kind of cool. You had a little bit of a Shawn Michaels Diesel vibe going on there, but they're just wasting this guy. Obviously, Roman Reigns is just going to lay waste to him, and that's going to be the end of that storyline, basically. Eric, so he's one of the War Raiders or the Viking Raiders, and before that, the Viking Experience. So it's like these guys are Vikings, but they just have matches. They just wrestle. There's no character. They don't explain anything. It's just like they're Vikings, guys. They're Vikings. Finn Balor, so... Balor, I've said everything I can about this guy. They had their opportunity to make him into a big star with the LBGT gimmick, but they quickly shied away from it after WrestleMania a few years ago. People always want him to be the Demon, and I agree that's probably the most attention that he gets is when he is the Demon. Last time they did the Demon, they did this really shoddy paint job, and if they were going to do that, I just said, just forget about it. Obviously, Finn likes being himself. He's already said that. He believes that he doesn't need to have any character. Him being himself and wearing his cool leather jacket is enough for some reason. But Finn Balor has got to be one of the most boring, overrated indie darlings I've ever seen. He's awful on the mic. They always have him smiling for some... He's even smiling in his picture, for God's sakes. God! What is he smiling about? I don't get it. A really aggravating character to watch... An aggravating wrestler to watch on TV. I don't ever get the appeal of Finn Balor. Besides him being in Japan for so long and him automatically being considered great because he spent so much time there, and he was a member of the Bullet Club. So that just automatically makes him amazing, I suppose. But, can you believe that he's the first ever Universal Champion, and he hasn't really ever gotten close since then? So I know WWE deep down regrets doing that. Gentleman Jack Gallagher, I do not know why they even bother with this guy. I don't even think he does the umbrella gimmick anymore. He's just kind of wasting away in 205 Live, and most of those guys are going to get moved over to NXT, and they're all going to get lost in the shuffle anyway. Grand Metalik, he's a 205 Live guy that sometimes gets mixed in with, what is the other guy again? Not Sin Cara. His name escapes me at the minute, but he's one of the luchadors, and not really much else to say. Just a random luchador on the roster. No one really cares about him. Greg Hamilton, he's a ring announcer. Okay, I'll never forget. This is the guy that Shane McMahon. That was the last full episode of SmackDown. Well, I didn't watch the full episode, but the last time I watched all the clips on YouTube was when Shane McMahon was berating Greg Hamilton for giving him a poor ring introduction. That was probably one of the cringiest segments I ever had the displeasure of watching. Harper, isn't he already leaving WWE? I think he's trapped in his contract or something like that at the moment. He wanted to go to AEW, but he can't. So anyway, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, they could have been this dominant tag team, just completely rule over the WWE, but they messed that up, and obviously we've got Luke Harper heading on out. Heath Slater, I've been singing this guy's praises for years, ever since 2012, and they had him losing to all those legends on Raw. I said, why not give Heath Slater a chance? And I thought it was going to be like a payoff. I thought that they were going to reward Heath Slater for being that entertaining and for, trying his damnedest to make those segments and matches as entertaining as possible. Also, when he was tag champions with Rhino in late 2016, it was some entertaining TV. Remember when, Rhino was eating the crackers and they were showing Heath Slater's wife and his kids? It was entertaining stuff, and I don't know why they strayed away from it so quickly. A lot of people were enjoying it, and of course, just like all the good things, they ruined it and ended it. Ivar, so this is the partner of Eric over here on the Viking Raiders, and he's a big scary Viking. Jason Jordan, I don't know if this guy will ever come back. I kind of liked him. I thought he was good in the ring, but they seemed like they were having such big problems with that storyline. They just didn't know where to go with it with Kurt Angle, and well, I don't know what's going to come of this guy, but I hope he's alright. I haven't heard any updates about him. Jeff Hardy, this guy can't escape his demons, and it's just sad. I'm a big fan of Jeff Hardy. I said it pretty much throughout the whole year of 2018 and in 2019. Why is this guy not WWE champion? If Seth Rollins could be WWE champion, why can't the super popular Jeff Hardy, who's obviously, out of all the guys who's full-time on the roster, this is one of the most popular, most over stars of all time. He can do anything in the ring. He's a great performer. I know he's not great on the mic, but he has natural, physical charisma. I do not know why Jeff Hardy is not a WWE champion since he's been back. They've done all these reunions with Matt. They put him, why didn't they make him into Brother Nero? So many failed opportunities with Jeff Hardy. He deserves so much more. Jerry the King Lawler. This guy, look how much he's given to WWE. The fact that he had a heart attack on air because they put him in a match way past when he should have been wrestling. He's still wrestling to this day, though, ironically. But, they should have never taken him off commentary. The King, every time I see the King, I smile. He's such a nice guy. I follow him on social media all the time. I feel so bad for him over the loss of his son, Brian Lawler, Brian Christopher. Jerry, just not only does he seem like a nice guy, such a talented guy, the drawings that he does, he's a very interesting hobbyist. I get a kick out of the King. Just such a great wrestler, a great character, a great talker, a great commentator. The King is probably one of the most complete human beings on the planet. He's so multifaceted and multi-talented. I just love the guy. Jey Uso and, Jimmy Uso, we could pair them together. The Uso brothers. I'll never forget these guys. I used to hate them with the bright neon. Uso! We used to make fun of them all the time here on this channel. But, obviously over the past year or so, they've completely watered these guys down. I was really digging the whole gangster. When they started dressing in black and they turned heel. I thought it was great. They had some good matches with New Day, but they completely played that feud out just like they do so many times with other feuds and wrestlers. I wish that they would refreshen these guys up a bit, get them going again, motivate them, because they just completely killed these guys. After that horrendous Mandy Rose Naomi storyline, they even fell even further than that. Also, They keep getting in trouble with the law, just like Jeff Hardy. I think even the Usos to a larger extent. These guys keep getting arrested for different things, and I'm pretty sure it's because of their heritage that the WWE kind of eases up on them and doesn't seem really to punish them too much. But maybe they are kind of punishing them because they're doing the roller coaster effect with them numerous times. And the last time they won the tag titles, it felt really empty. It was okay, they're champs, and it didn't feel as triumphant as the past few times. Jinder Mahal, everyone said, yeah, he was WWE champion ever. But the guy was getting heat, real authentic heel heat that no one had gotten in years. Jinder, look at this guy's physique. Follow him on Instagram. This guy is a machine. He's great. I love Jinder Mahal, and I think he did a good job. The best he could possibly do as WWE champion. They really just completely crapped all over this guy. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if backstage he had some heat or something like that, or I don't know if they're just trying to please the indie darlings by knocking him down several pegs. Quite a few pegs, if you ask me. John Cena. Isn't it funny that everybody accused John of, burying people? But now to me, it seems like they bury John Cena. Like, every time he's on TV, I feel like they treat him like an afterthought. Like, having him get beat by Nakamurphy. I mean, they've had him, like, lose constantly. And, I don't know, like, what it is. But every time they show John, they've had the guy lose, like, constantly. And, no doubt about it, John had some pull. He probably could have made it so Bray Wyatt could have beat him at Mania. It didn't even have to be a clean victory. But, and people will still go back to the whole Nexus thing, even though I don't believe that Nexus really would have been that over, even if they did win at that SummerSlam where John Cena wouldn't put Nexus over. Whatever the case may be, John Cena is a legend. I think the guy is a great ambassador for the company. I feel really bad that everyone says, there was a really alarming portion of people that when remember that video with that goofball that was filming him in that store? People were like defending the guy, saying John was unprofessional. He was being anti-fan. They were trying to make the guy out to be a Sasha Banks. You people, come on. Like, John Cena, I mean, I've completely done a whole 180 on him. I realize the importance of the guy with the company. Yes, his character was cheesy for many years. Yes, they mishandled him. But you look back at his body of work, and on the whole, he was a valuable asset to WWE. JoJo, this girl cheated with Bray Wyatt. She's a homewrecker and everything. She's cute. I see why, Bray might have, been all up in her stuff. But, she's a ring announcer. Jonathan Coachman. Another victim of Corey Graves and his complete, like, egomaniacal personality. I like the Coach, but when he came back, I mean, it's not his fault. Like, every commentator was, like, reconditioned. McMahon's always yelling in their ear all the time. He wasn't the Coach I remember on commentary back in 2003 or on Sunday Night Heat back in 2002. The Coach was an entertaining heel back in the day. I like the Coach. I'm a fan. But he's kind of now he's kind of just a pre-show guy. He's on ESPN. I think he went back over there. So I think he just had a little bit too much of McMahon in this year, and Corey Graves is just an annoying a-hole. Kairi Sane, so she came. And, she basically started teaming, came onto the main roster and started teaming with Asuka. And they really haven't done a whole lot since being there. I mean, what are they, oh, no, wait a minute. They didn't win the tag belts, did they? So they kind of it was kind of weird. They have Kairi Sane come in. She's not even a pirate anymore. I think they took away the whole pirate gimmick away. So it was kind of confusing to me. Like, you're going to just strip this girl of everything that makes her and, just shove her in a team, basically. Kalisto. So when I was talking about Grand Metalik, this was the guy I couldn't think of. They actually had this guy beat Ryback on a WrestleMania pre-show. It looked completely just, sensational and fantastic. And, I mean that not like it was fantastic. It looked like out there. Like, I think they thought that this guy was going to be the next Rey Mysterio. But then Rey Mysterio returned, and I think they've completely forgotten about this guy, Kane. So Kane basically sold his soul. He actually did the unthinkable. And as an active mayor, actually competed in Saudi Arabia with The Undertaker against Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Kane is a legend. I believe he deserves to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. They really weird out this guy's welcome. I mean, the fact that they had him put the mask on and take it off so many times is really, kind of definitely marred his character to a certain degree. But I remember the good times, and, the other thing is, why did they always insist since 2002 keeping to this horrible mask design? It was like what Daniel Bryan said back then. It looked like a fruit roll-up slapped on his face. and this ugly attire. Kane used to have like the most badass attire and the mask. Like why not let him use? Remember the mask that he had in 2002, like when he returned. Like, couldn't they at least keep that mask? Carl Anderson. So this guy, another guy that's been back and forth. He's a former Bullet Club member. The internet crowd thinks that the guy's great, and I don't think that he's bad or anything like that. He's shown signs of personality, but then they did that goofy doctor gimmick skit, and I just, I thought it was pretty cringeworthy. Him and Luke Gallows, I don't know. I feel like Luke Gallows should be on his own. Carl Anderson is just like, this team is not working. They've tried everything with these guys, basically. I mean, well, they haven't really tried. They don't really try with anybody. But, by WWE's current standards, I guess you could say that they tried. But Carl Anderson, why? I don't, Kayla Braxton, the backstage interviewer, who cares? Kofi Kingston. Guys, he's been there for 11 years. So, he's been there for 11 years. That's why he deserves the belt. So, don't give it to Bobby Lashley. Don't give it to his teammate, Big E. These people are far more deserving. But Kofi, he's been there for 11 years. You got any other reasons why he should be WWE? He's been there for 11 years. Guys, he's been there for 11 years. Basically, he would have never been champion if it wasn't for Mustafa Ali being injured on the night of Elimination Chamber. But, people like to disregard that fact. They like to pretend like that isn't a thing, even though it is a thing, and it quite clearly is a thing. So, I can't believe he's held on to the belt for this long. Guys, I don't know. I just, Kofi Kingston is the champion. The guy has no charisma. The only time I ever say, boo, boo, boo. And then they had the Jamaican accent, but he wasn't really Jamaican. And, oh my God, any time that he even had anything with them, any sort of personality, they basically stripped it away. He's the least charismatic member of New Day. And somehow, someway, looking at him hold that belt, it almost looks like it's Photoshop. Is this real? Has this just been a very long dream that I haven't woken up from? Connor, I mean, this guy is a total monster. He's, thick as hell. I mean, he's big, but, these guys showed signs of brilliance during the the Breezango segments. But they pretty much sealed these guys' fate when they got the crap kicked out of them by all those legends back at the Royal Rumble in 2015 when they brought them up from NXT. Lacey Evans, she spent months chassaying down, runways at WWE events. Then she had one pay-per-view match, and now she's just basically another girl on the roster. Great job, WWE. Another career buried. Lana just looks like some character from the He-Man universe, basically. She's still hot, but her big mouth. This is the reason why Rusev doesn't come out in freaking tanks anymore, because Lana's big mouth. I mean, I get it. I realize Rusev, he wants to get lucky every night, so he probably tries not to say too much to his wife. But Lana, you've completely ruined the man's livelihood. I hope you're happy. Lars Sullivan, this guy has been controversial. I mean, he's a monster and everything, but even the few months when they were there, remember back in the day, I know some people used to complain about this, but they used to, put these guys on TV and make a major impact. Lars Sullivan, he's facing off against the Luchador guys, basically. And now he got injured again, and people are basically saying that now he probably won't have another opportunity. He's got a lot of backstage heat. They barely even let him on TV due to all that stuff he wrote on Twitter back in the day. So I don't know what's going to come of this guy, but, I wish him the best. He looks like a monster. He actually looks like a wrestler. That's always a good thing. The more guys like that we have, the more my greatly diminished faith in pro wrestling, or just WWE to be more specific, because I'm not even talking about pro wrestling. I don't even want to even say anything about AEW. But, it's always a good thing. It keeps the faith. Anyway, Lince Dorado, he's in there with Grand Metalik and Kalisto, but Lince Dorado I think is probably the least popular member. Leo Rush, is he even in there? Is he even still a valet for Bobby Lashley? Is he still a hype man? I mean, I think he did a good job. I guess I don't think Lashley really needed him per se, but anyway, Leo Rush. Liv Morgan, ever since they broke up the Riot Squad and they still haven't even updated her attire in this picture, she has barely been featured on TV, but she is cute as hell. And I know Mandy Rose Goddess will be happy that I said that, but she really is. This girl's very attractive, to say the least. I mean, every time I see her on TV, I'm just like, I can't take my eyes off her. She's a very, very attractive female. Of course, that's sexist, and we have to respect them for their athletic ability. Yep. Luke Gallows. So recently, they've had this guy do the budget barbarian Legion of Doom look, and I don't get it. I don't know if that was at the suggestion of Paul Heyman to do that, but I don't get it. I don't understand why Luke Gallows is not just a big monster. I mean, this guy is huge. I don't get why they don't do more with him. He's just in a tag team basically with Carl Anderson, and now he's part of the OC with AJ Styles. Is back to the Bullet Club, fake Bullet Club take 2. So but now he's got these things going on. Oh, what character development? They developed his face paint. Mandy Rose, I mean, it goes without saying, I know Vince McMahon's a big fan of her. Mandy Rose, and I know Mandy Rose Goddess, a loyal subscriber of mine, big fan of her. I've seen her in the ring. She's pretty decent, I will say. I've seen comparisons to Trish Stratus, because she's a model and all that. Good looking girl, to say the least. I don't have to tell you guys that, but what's the goal here? They teased at the lesbian angle between her and Sonya Deville, and I think that would have been a really interesting element to add. I think a lot of people were they wanted to see it, but I don't know. It's I don't think WWE knew how to handle that, and I don't know why. It's the same thing with Finn Balor. You want to tease the LBGT thing, but you don't want to be committed to it. I mean, they would actually get more viewers if they did that, because then people would hear about that, and fans that are LBGT, they would be drawn to the product. So whether you agree with that or not, they would have actually got a bigger audience. But instead, let's just that storyline with Naomi was so horrible and cringeworthy. Maria Kanellis, I mean, I jumped the gun about the 24/7 championship thing. That was still a really embarrassing moment, how she berated all the men and everything. They just stood there. You can't touch me because I'm pregnant. I mean, that was, oh, God, I still get chills thinking about that. But, luckily they took the belt off of her almost immediately, because I think it kind of was getting a negative response. Some people liked it, but I didn't. Mark Andrews, this guy was Mandrews on the Indies and in Impact Wrestling. I think he's over in 205 Live, so that means he's going to be carted off to NXT, where he's going to get lost in the shuffle. Maurice, she's not even on TV anymore. She's just basically doing the reality show with The Miz. Matt Hardy. Can we talk a moment about Matt Hardy? And this deserves a video on its own. How do you take a guy this talented, this passionate, with such a great character that he created, and you took that character and you beat it out of him, basically? You embarrassed the guy. You made the character seem second rate. You made it seem unimportant. Don't, Matt Hardy, so much charisma we hadn't seen in the WWE in years. You put him on the same screen as Bray Wyatt. You put him in the same team as Bray Wyatt, and still you can't get it right. What is wrong with this company? How are you not getting this right when you have that much charisma floating around, that much potential, and you even have Jeremy Borash working for you? You still can't get it right, you goofballs. Now Matt Hardy is like they're keeping him off of TV. He's recovering from an injury. But like even before that, I mean, my God, they even drove the guy off of TV when he went on a brief hiatus. Because they drove the guy to the brink of insanity, like real insanity, because they were just making the guy nothing was working with him. They stripped him of his character, even when he was, woken or broken Matt Hardy. They were making him not even act like the character. Besides just randomly laughing, they took everything away from him that made him broken, woken Matt Hardy. Mauro Ranallo, this guy should be on Raw. JBL bullied this guy off of SmackDown. I know he doesn't want to admit it, but that's probably the case. I know he doesn't want to commit to a full-time schedule and doing Raw or SmackDown, but he really should. I mean, you watch this guy. I feel really bad for him with his mental health issues. I hope that the guy could gain some semblance of, stability, I guess would be the right word right there, but I think that this guy is so passionate. When he was on SmackDown, even when the matches were boring as hell, I was like, this guy, I could watch these matches because he's so into them. I was like, okay, well, all right, Mauro is really into it. I mean, it's more than this goofball does. Let's talk about him for a moment. Michael Cole. I mean, okay, honestly, I've never been a big Michael Cole fan, but I will say that him and Taz were an entertaining team. Even Michael Cole and JBL circa 2006 were an entertaining duo. There was a period when Michael Cole could hold it down. Even when JR, had his Bell's palsy, I think it was the second bout in late 1998, early 1999. Michael Cole did an adequate job taking over for the King. Now, of course, he ruined several moments, like with the Boss Man, the Undertaker, where someone's actually getting hanged from the top of a Hell in a Cell, and he's like, "Wow, look at that." I mean, Cole, I will say though, he's an employee man. The guy is known to be a little bit of a hothead. He definitely is a kiss ass, to say the least. But people, we can really learn a thing or two from Michael Cole. This is a guy, a company man. He's very loyal. He does everything his boss tells him to do. And I know people don't like that, but if you're gonna work at a job, you should probably do it like Michael Cole. Do what you're told. You have a boss. And, Michael Cole just basically does what he's asked to do. And I guess he does his job well. It's just, the guy is so programmed, he's basically like a robot at this point. So he can't really help but be bland because he's forced to, say all these things. It's like half the stuff that comes out of his mouth, it's like Vince McMahon basically has his hand up his butt and he's just, moving Michael Cole's mouth because he's basically the mouthpiece for McMahon. Everything McMahon once said on TV, Michael Cole is responsible for saying all this stuff. And JR and Mick Foley have gone into great detail about that, let me tell you. Mickie James, since she has returned, I gotta say, they have completely disrespected this great, attractive woman. Mickie James is amazing in the ring. She had a great character, that memorable feud with Trish Stratus. I'll never forget it. But Mickie James, she deserves way better. She was just a lackey for Alexa Bliss. And now they haven't even featured on. I think she's injured right now. So, I hope she gets well soon. But, I mean, how do you have such a great talent and do nothing with her? And you have all those years of experience. And you treat her like absolute garbo. Mike Kanellis, I've said it time and time again, the first ever cuck in WWE. I mean, this is, I don't think that this guy ever thought that he'd be stooped to this level. Back when he was, what was his name? I can't even remember now. Oh, Mike Bennett, that's right. I almost forgot his last name, but, he's using the last name of his wife. He got pinned by his wife. I mean, come on. This guy's talented. I've watched him since ROH. He's good on the mic. You know, the guy has had a really great transformation. I mean, he's really looking good now physically. But, you know, WWE is treating the guy like a giant joke. Mark Rome, this guy's completely unbearable if you look at his social media. Mojo Rawley, this guy spent most of the year talking into a mirror and not appearing on TV. They had the guy paint his face. I think he has a lot of potential on the mic. He's got a great look, but WWE just, you know, once again, another wasted talent, basically. The fans really hate on this guy all the time. I think he has a lot of potential. Mr. McMahon, I mean, like, you know, this guy you could do hundreds of videos on, basically, and we have. I don't think that if McMahon gives up the company or passes away, God forbid, you know, I don't think that the company is going to improve under Triple H. I think that McMahon deep down knows that characters drive the WWE, because every once in a while he goes back to that. But McMahon is like, now, like, I don't think that this guy does too well with the advancement of times, because it doesn't make any sense. How could this guy be taking his company backwards? It's 2019. They try to do pop culture references, but it's like the lamest person on the planet trying to do them, and you know it's coming from McMahon, because we've heard it time and time again from, like, Vince Russo. McMahon doesn't get it, and we've heard even Heyman say that this guy doesn't watch things. He's stuck in the wrestling bubble. He's completely clueless. He's a talented guy, but McMahon needs direction. He needs a good writer with him. He needs someone who's not a yes man. He needs someone who's not just there to kiss his ass, and that's what the writers do. Yes, Mr. McMahon. Right away, Mr. McMahon. You know, they're all like Michael Cole's, basically. It's good to respect your boss and do what you're told and everything and remain compliant. But my God, Vince McMahon just runs roughshod over the product, and no one has the balls to admit that it sucks. Naomi, you know, well, I mean, I don't have to tell you about her booty. I mean, that's one thing, guys, that, you know, we need to talk about there for a moment, but I'm not going to get involved in that. Talented girl, I think that they've disrespected her. They've made her into second rate. They could have really pushed, you know, if they really want to push, like, black empowerment, they should have kept that women's title on her for a longer amount of time over on SmackDown. But it wasn't to be. I really was digging the entrance and the lights and everything. I thought it was pretty cool. But, you know, just like all things that are great and entertaining in WWE in modern days, they don't last long or they're mishandled. Natalya. Now, it's quite obvious that Natalya doesn't have a lot of charisma. Now, that might not be her fault, because she probably just hasn't found her niche. One week she's farting. The next week she's wearing cat ears. And once in a while, she pops up for the random women's title match, like, which is super random as hell. You know, like, they just shoehorn her into a bunch of things. The feud she had with Ruby Riott, with her father's death, was just unbearable to watch. And I know we could say it time and time again, this is Jim Neidhart's daughter. Just like Curtis Axel is to, you know, Kurt Hennig. You know, like, these are second generation stars. But it's quite obvious that there's an inferiority here, and we can't look past that. But, you know, Natalya is talented. She's a good wrestler. It's just, she's one of those wrestlers at this point that I'm just kind of sick of seeing already. She's an attractive girl and everything. I like her. I think she's got a great body on her, great physique. But, you know, I'm just kind of really, like, when I see her, I just kind of have to roll my eyes. Nia Jax. I am a big Nia Jax fan. I don't know where the hell they got the idea to, you know, have her do the Starbucks voice. I gotta have 2 shots, you know, do 2 pumps in my Venti. You know, like, I don't know where they got that from, but Nia Jax has been off the rails ever since she did that bullying feud with Alexa Bliss. And I will say that at that time, that is when they completely killed Alexa Bliss and killed Nia Jax. Now, they were having Nia Jax be a jobber way before that. They never completely fulfilled her monstrous, you know, potential. You know, they were having her lose to Asuka over in NXT. No respect for this great Samoan star. You know, she's related to The Rock. She has those Samoan bloodlines. You think that they would do something with her, but, you know, like, I don't know. Now she's injured. We haven't heard from her. Why they made her do the girly girl gimmick, do the Valley Girl thing, is beyond me. Nikki Bella, she's retired. I don't know why she's here, but I will say this. When she came back for the feud with Ronda Rousey, I really started to appreciate Nikki Bella. You know, and just... her character, I know a lot of people think that she's annoying, but she's good at getting heat, and I think she's a pretty good character. Nikki Cross, I don't get this whole tag team with Alexa Bliss thing. I know it's going to lead to something with Alexa Bliss betraying her or whatever, but like they've completely taken away her crazy girl gimmick, which was the whole thing to begin with. So I don't really understand Nikki Cross's presence here on the main roster. Like, you know, they could have really did something with her, but of course, you know, like all things, they have to ruin it. No Way Jose, basically Adam Rose 2.0. This guy, once in a while, they bring him out to be a ham and egger. Aside from that, like, I don't know how this guy's even still on the roster. Like, you would expect this guy to get released or sent back to NXT or something along those lines. Noam Dar, I mean, so they paired him up with Alicia Fox, and you know, I don't know, guys. Ever since that point, you know, Noam Dar has been MIA. I know they put him. I think he's over in NXT UK, and you know, basically a forgotten memory over there. Otis. Now this guy, he looks like a big time star, but the whole thing of him rubbing himself and pulling down the sling it, I feel like it's been done before, and it's just, I don't know. You know, he looks like a star, but they just have him acting like a goofball, like doing the worm and everything. It's just completely directionless. Like the whole heavy machinery thing, like where is it going? There's no direction for these guys. I mean, Paige, this is a really weird picture of her. So Sasha Banks has ended her career. I don't know what they're doing with Paige. She's just basically an ambassador at this point, but you know, it's a shame. She was a charismatic star that she looked the part and everything, but they basically they put her in the ring with a dangerous wrestler, and now she's on the shelf for good. Paul Heyman. Now, I don't understand why this guy is now like head of creative or something like that on Raw, but for some reason they're not acknowledging it on TV. Anyway, he's been cutting the same promo for 7 years straight, and everyone seems to think that he's a brilliant promo guy, and I'm not saying that he's not, but the guy hasn't changed his promo in 7 years. I don't know, you know, like, I've really questioned at times, like, Heyman's got some good ideas. He did do ECW, and, you know, once in a while his input, and I did enjoy him as general manager of Raw back in 2003 and early 2004 on SmackDown, but like this guy, I'm sick of seeing him. Peyton Royce, so I already talked about with, you know, when I talked about Billie Kay earlier in the video. You know, she acts the part. I've kind of warmed up to her. The Iconics are not as bad as I initially said. Like, at least they're consistent in their characters. They're not great characters, but you know, they have somewhat of a charm to them, I guess you could say. A light charm. Primo Cologne. So, I mean, this guy's actually been in the WWE now for over a decade. You know, this is Carlito's brother, I believe it is, or cousin. I think they said it was his cousin, but it's actually his brother. I don't know. It's always confusing to me. But anyway, I can't believe that he's still on the roster. R-Truth. Now, despite what they say about this guy, I will say this. To the best of my knowledge, R-Truth does not complain. Even though that this guy got a WWE title shot, and I thought that he looked good in the role. I thought he was a great heel. I liked when they were doing the Awesome Truth, him and The Miz. But then they started making this guy into like a clueless idiot. He would like wander out during segments and say totally ridiculous things. He still does that. He plays the role well. And the 24/7 championship has been probably the best segments. When I reviewed the Raw Reunion show, I said it straight out. I said the segments with R-Truth are probably the most entertaining on the show. And that really speaks volumes about R-Truth as a performer and how good he is on the mic and how good he is, just as a talker. And I like R-Truth. The guy is nearing 50 years old and he's in better shape than 75% of the roster. I think that says something within itself. Randy Orton, this guy has been disrespected over the years without a doubt. Randy Orton. You have to say that this is one of the last true big stars that they have left in the company. But, when you have the guy, struggling to beat Kofi Kingston and all this, and, they're trying to now make that into, a work shoot now that he tried holding Kofi down and everything. And, Randy Orton has had his escapades backstage and everything, but the guy has a look that a lot of people don't have. He really has a good, in-ring ability. And Orton is just basically hated on by the internet fans. But I will tell you something. At this point in time, I look back on Orton's body of work, and I see that this guy deserves a lot more credit than what he gets. And, this guy has, given it up to a lot of guys over the years. Naka Murphy, he gave a victory over to him. Randy Orton is now being underappreciated. They just have him kind of wallowing away, not really doing much. I know he has a match, tonight as I speak with Kofi Kingston. But it doesn't feel like it used to with Randy Orton. You felt like this was a high caliber star, but now it's like, I don't know, they've brought Randy Orton down to the level of one of these indie darlings, basically. And I know that might also be hurting him in this day and age, because he's very anti-internet fan. He speaks his mind. He said what he did about the Young Bucks. He has no patience for that nonsense. He's very old school in his beliefs. His mindset is that of the ruthless aggression here, and I think that's a great mindset to have. I think more people need to have that mindset where they're focused on building their character and getting ahead. It's just that that's probably not a popular mindset to have in this current politically correct WWE landscape. Renee Young, I'm surprised she even has a job with Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley being over in AEW. But she really has not been a good commentator on Raw at all. Rey Mysterio. This guy, another guy that's been completely disrespected, just like Jeff Hardy since returning to the WWE. They're treating this guy like he's a nobody. They tell you he's a legend. They tell you he's a former WWE champion. Okay, so why is Kofi Kingston a WWE champion? Why is Seth Rollins a WWE champion? But why is Rey Mysterio not wrestling these guys for the WWE championship? Why are we forced to watch these second caliber stars? Oh, we need to give a chance to the new guys. The new guys suck! And you still got stars like Rey Mysterio who can still wrestle circles around those guys. Rey Mysterio's got a presence. He's got a look. He's undoubtedly one of the biggest stars in wrestling history. You have him on your roster and you're doing absolutely nothing with them. Razor. He's one of the other members of, I think this is the one that's injured at the moment. Or maybe it's, the other guy. I don't know. But the Authors of Pain, it showed creatives failing of how they don't know how to even book big guys like this. Ricochet. I don't know why this guy is a credible wrestler. He's one of the biggest indie darlings of all time. This guy, I look at him and I'm like, what is exceptional about Ricochet? They tell us that he's amazing and everything. And, I'm looking at him like, besides the guy flipping around like a maniac, no charisma, no presence, no look. Once again, it's like, what is it about Ricochet? Like, I'm watching a product that has basically become the Indies. It's been designed now for the internet fans. Hey, great, Ricochet's, in the main event of Raw. Like, come on. What? Like, Ricochet, first of all, this guy, he had that video posted of himself sort of a weirdo. Robert Roode. So recently he went back to the beard. This was a poor attempt at trying to make him into Rick Rude. How the hell do you mess this guy up? The physique, the mic skills, the wrestling ability, the guys, the whole complete package, the total package. And somehow, some way, you still managed to do wrong by this guy. What is wrong with you? I mean, they gave this guy a cup of coffee as the U.S. champion. It's been downhill ever since. Roman Reigns, so it seems like they've really backed off of Roman Reigns the recent months. You know, like his WrestleMania match, after coming back from cancer, all those people disrespecting him and saying that it was a ruse, that, you know, Roman Reigns was a fraud, and him and WWE faked the whole cancer bit. Disgusting, completely reprehensible comments. I don't know, like, he's in the feud with Eric Rowan. He had a WrestleMania match against Drew McIntyre. Matches against Elias. Like, where are they going with Roman Reigns? This guy is too good to be involved in such complete schlock. Ruby Riott. So I did a whole video on her, you know, saying that, you know, I didn't like her and everything, and I didn't see the appeal, but I do like Ruby Riott now. I think it's because, first of all, when she came in there, they had her wearing this ridiculous attire, and I was like, I could barely even look at her. Now they changed the attire. She's got a good look now to her. I think she's got some good mic skills. I like her in the ring. I like Ruby Riott. She's still on the injured reserve list at the moment, so, you know, get well soon to Ruby Riott. I like her. They just need to know how to book her, but, you know, that's impossible. Rusev, so this guy's, like, barely still in the WWE. I don't know what direction they're taking with him. Basically, Lana killed his whole career. You can basically listen to what I said about Aiden English, and the same thing applies here. We said it 1,000 times. The guy came out on the tank. He was in a big feud with John Cena back in 2015. What the hell happened? I think Lana has a lot to do with that. Sami Zayn. So, you know, the guy has definitely improved. I've listened to him on the mic. I don't know, you know, the point of The Undertaker coming out and choke slamming him on the last episode of SmackDown, besides it being an excuse to show The Undertaker. Sami Zayn, I mean, the feud with Bobby Lashley, the team with Kevin Owens. Like, I don't know where they're going with this guy. I will say this, though. I did notice that he has developed a bit of a six-pack. So, credit to Sami Zayn for finally doing his job and going to the gym. Oh, an athlete working out. Oh, my God. What a foreign concept. Crazy, right? Samir Singh. So, you know, the Singh brothers are now on 205 Live. So, I guess they're going to be headed back to NXT pretty soon. No comment. I mean, I don't really care for these guys. They were just goofball valets for Jinder Mahal. Samoa Joe, he's fat, to quote Scott Steiner. I never saw the appeal of this guy. I still never see the appeal of this guy. He's fat. He's out of shape. He's overrated. But Stone Cold likes him. I don't care what Stone Cold likes. Just because Stone Cold is my favorite wrestler doesn't mean I have to like what Stone Cold likes. I disagree with a lot of things that Stone Cold says. Stone Cold also likes Seth Rollins. I don't. Sarah Logan. So, I don't know. Like, it's very weird. She just all of a sudden started embracing her Viking heritage. Okay, so then why isn't she teaming with the Viking Raiders? I don't know. She's barely on TV now. You know, they broke up the Riot Squad, and now they don't know what to do with her. Sasha Banks. So, you know, old blue hair is back, and now she's teaming with Bayley once again. And, like, you know, why do these two always have to be together? First of all, she's a complete a-hole to the fans. I thought that she was going to AEW, but I don't know. I guess she's too much of a coward to go. First of all, she is the biggest a-hole to the fans. She's completely disrespectful. You know, she makes all these faces. She ranted and raved online about the fans disrespecting her, and she's not even that good. She's a dangerous worker that ended Paige's career, for God's sakes. Why? What is she still doing on the roster? Why does WWE continue to employ these maniacs? Scott Dawson, the Revival. I mean, like, come on. You know, this Revival thing, they're a great tag team. They're nobodies. They are absolute nobodies. I mean, even when they tried to do that throwback to the, to the old school and everything like that, it ended up going nowhere. Scott Stanford. I really have a big respect for this guy. I used to watch Superstars. I really enjoyed his commentary. He's a sports commentator. You could see him on the local news stations here in New York. Also, the guy was on True Z Island. What was Zack Ryder's show called again? True Z Long Island Story or whatever it was called. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, Zack Ryder's YouTube show. He was very entertaining on it. Seth Rollins. We're on fire tonight. I mean, oh God. I talked a lot about him with Cringy Lynch, but after watching WrestleMania, I think if you go back and you watch that WrestleMania review that I did, earlier in the year, you could probably see, like, my soul leaving my body. Every last bit of energy I had left just basically exited out of this vessel at that moment in time. Like 5 minutes with Brock Lesnar, he beats him for the title. Seth Rollins was the most unbearable faces. I mean, he was better as a heel, but like this guy, I just, as a champion, it's just abysmal. I mean, it doesn't matter. I thought back in the day, I remember when ratings used to drop, when they used to have like someone on TV, they would like immediately pull that guy off of TV. Now, it's like, with Seth Rollins' case, they will keep putting him on TV despite how low ratings get and that they don't improve. You would think they keep trying different things. They're like, oh no, this is all good. Why is Seth Rollins the exception? Can I ask that question for a moment? And, this guy right here, I mean, I was saving this, and I don't want to mention it when I was talking about Cringy Lynch, but he is not exactly the kind of guy to marry someone. Remember the last time he was engaged, what happened? He was sending those questionable pics. I mean, don't you think that maybe Seth Rollins should, he seems kind of like the kind of guy that should probably just be more of a swinger or something like that. He shouldn't be tied down by anybody, because is Becky Lynch aware of that? Is she aware of, what was that back in 2015 of what he did, with all those questionable photos? I'm pretty sure, I think she was in NXT at the time when that was going on. But I'm like, wow, this guy, I mean, Seth goes without saying, the guy's a perv. He is. And, come on, there's so many people that are guilty of that, and they're not necessarily bad people. But I'm just saying, Seth Rollins is just, this is a multifaceted guy, and for all the wrong reasons. And this championship run of his since WrestleMania, I know he lost it there for a month or so, but I mean, Rollins is just unbearable like to listen to and to see as champion. I mean, you look at Seth Rollins and you just see how far WWE has fallen as a product. Shane McMahon, I mean, okay, Shane McMahon. I like Shane. I am a Shane McMahon fan. But ever since this guy has turned heel, ever since that horrible tag team storyline with The Miz, like the fact that his heel turn even came out of that horrible storyline, that makes it even worse. But Shane McMahon as a heel, I don't know what's happened. I don't know if he has to abide by this more politically correct environment. But why was he such a good heel when he was leading the corporate ministry? Why was he such a good heel in the corporation itself? Why was he a good heel for so many years and all? When he was he had his different rivalries. When he was in the Alliance and everything. Why was he so good then? But now he's a complete joke, arguing with ring announcers over the way he's being introduced. Yeah, I don't know. Like, Shane McMahon, just ever since he returned, I've noticed that he hasn't ever been the same, and he's been back now for over 3 years. So you would think he would have readjusted to the product. It's just that we're in such a different, we're in a whole different dimension when it comes to WWE. So I guess that's why he can't really adjust to the product. I don't really blame him. I'm just saying that, Shane McMahon is, he hasn't been the same. Sheamus, you guys, you should go check this guy's channel out, the Celtic Warrior workouts. This guy's got so much personality. I like him even when he's on TV, but they have just, Sheamus, I don't know how you go from WWE champion to just being in a tag team. Now, the tag team with Cesaro has been good, but I have to still ask the question, how do you go from a world champion into a tag team? It's just it was never done in the past, and it shouldn't be now, unless it's going to be something like the Mega Powers or something along those lines, the Rock and Sock Connection. Those types of teams I get. But this is it just is basically a sign that they failed Sheamus, and this is a contingency plan, basically. So when he comes back from his injury, I hope that they could probably, reward Sheamus with a bit more. Shelton Benjamin, this guy, he was scheduled to return. His return was delayed because he got injured. And then they put him in a team with Chad Gable. And ever since then, that team is done. He has been a jobber. He's in the best shape of his life compared to everyone else on the roster. At this, he was basically an upper mid-carder, an intercontinental champion back in 2004. And we never really thought of Shelton Benjamin as a world champion. But nowadays, with guys like this being champion, I think guys that look like this should be champion even more. Because if that's acceptable, then this definitely is. And while we're pushing, Kofi Kingston being the first ever fully black champion, once again, here's another contender for that spot. Now, I will admit that Benjamin is not the strongest talker, but neither is Kofi Kingston. So why is it okay for, Kofi? That used to be the thing, right? If you can't talk, then, you have no business being champion. But okay, if that rule doesn't matter anymore, then why can't we have someone like Shelton Benjamin instead? I'm not saying that Benjamin should be the world champion, but I'm saying if someone like that can be, why can't Shelton Benjamin? Especially when he's in much better shape. He looks more imposing, has a better presence, and has a better in-ring talent. So if it's all about in-ring ability, then he should obviously, be, besides Kofi Kingston doing all those wacky stunts at the Royal Rumble, what does that guy really have to offer? Nakamurphy, I've said so much about this guy. Once again, basically everything I said about Asuka applies to Nakamurphy. But, man, I know, look, he's holding an Intercontinental Championship here, so you're like, oh, okay, so he couldn't have fallen that far. He has. No one expected this guy to win the Royal Rumble back in 2018, but somehow he did. And what the funny thing is that this guy would go on the WrestleMania. Now, he wouldn't be in the last match on the card, but he was in one of the main events. And he wrestled AJ Styles in a disappointing match. But, he wasn't even on the main card at WrestleMania this year. I think he was U.S. champion still, whatever the case may be. He was U.S. champion, he wasn't even on TV. What is it with Nakamurphy? They had this guy beat John Cena. They had this guy beat Randy Orton. They put all their eggs in one big old Nakamurphy basket. And then, this guy, he was in a team with Rusev, and it went absolutely nowhere. And this guy is going nowhere. Once again, he's an All Japan star, so people instantly think he's great. I mean, they turned the guy heel, and he was a little bit better. He's got good facial expressions. It's just, the guy's physique and everything. I don't, now they cover the guy up now more. So, I mean, I don't see what everyone sees in Nakamurphy, and I probably never will. And I don't see a whole lot. I see a guy that kind of like, he kind of shouldn't have had all that attention in the first place, but it makes them look foolish as a company for giving him so much, and then now he's doing so little. Sin Cara, is this guy even on the roster? I don't even remember him wrestling since he had that brief little feud with Baron Corbin. Sonya Deville, basically everything I said with Mandy Rose. They tried doing a lesbian angle, and they don't want to be committed. They're scared. I guess they don't want bad press. I get that, but why even exist at all if you're not willing to take chances? I liked Sonya Deville. I even said she would have been the perfect. You notice they removed Ronda Rousey from here. So, I don't get that. Isn't she, like, scheduled to return? Now, I don't think she's ever returning, but I'm just saying. Anyway, I thought, had they, treated her a little bit better, she would have been the perfect adversary for Ronda Rousey. But they just had, like, a brief stint where, like, Ronda, when she was, like, dispatching a bunch of the women's wrestlers, she, like, tore through Sonya Deville like she was nothing. So they completely ruined that possible angle. Stephanie McMahon, probably one of the most unbearable characters on TV. I remember when Stephanie was great back when she was the GM, but, now all the power. She has this thing where, like, no one is allowed to say anything to her on TV. She always has to look dominant. She's untouchable. They make her even look even more untouchable than Triple H, for God's sakes. I mean, they even have the women saying things to Triple H, but no one can say anything to Stephanie. And the way, week after week, they had her continuously castrating Kurt Angle. I mean, how can anyone not despise her? Sunil Singh, one of the Singh brothers who's currently in 205 Live. He'll be headed into NXT where he's going to get buried without a doubt. Tamina, the daughter of Jimmy Fly Snuka, how did I say that? Of Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Tamina has the look. She's got the ability. I think she could have been a great adversary for Nia Jax. They put her in a tag team. I was like, okay, well, they'll be a great tag team together. They didn't give them the belts. It was just a complete crapshoot, to say the least. It was I don't know what they were doing with her. They just basically made her a jobber, just like a lackey for Nia Jax, more than a partner. And Tamina was just, she deserves so much more. I understand that we're all, low on Superfly because of all the allegations against him and everything like that. But, like, if you're going to have this girl on the roster, why should she suffer? Why should that be the case? Especially now that her father has passed on. And a lot of people still have fond memories of Snuka. It's the same kind of thing like the Michael Jackson effect. Not everyone is willing to believe that. Same thing with Hulk Hogan. Some people hate on Hogan. Some people love Hogan. It doesn't matter. Why are they so concerned with every little controversy? This is where they end up eating themselves. The Brian Kendrick. The Brian Kendrick is this. Vince Russo brought the inner spirit out of this man back in TNA. And ever since coming back to WWE and being in the 205 Live division, I mean, this guy's been wasting away so much potential. This guy, like I said, especially by today's standards, he could be a big star on the main roster, but they haven't even given the guy a chance since his return. Cedric Alexander is beating Drew McIntyre. Why can't a guy like Brian Kendrick even get a leg up in this company, in the current climate? I don't understand it. Like, I never will. Like, The Miz. Turning this guy face was the biggest mistake. I don't know what the thing is, why this guy has never been able to get back in the world title picture. He has consistently performed on a nightly basis. Did everything that was asked of him. Cut great promos. And for some reason, he was relegated to endless reigns as Intercontinental Champion. I don't get it. Titus O'Neil, he's a great ambassador. Obviously, big-time controversies with Vince McMahon, putting his hands on Vince McMahon, all that nonsense and everything. I don't get it. He was voted Father of the Year. All this great, publicity that they receive. And I get it, they send him out there when they do events for WWE, and he's a great ambassador for the company. But why, when it comes time to show him on TV, why do they always berate the guy? Why do they make him look like a goofball all the time? Tom Phillips, as a SmackDown lead announcer, he is not good. Especially when he was covering right after Mauro Ranallo. I mean, the guy really looked like a 2-bit player, I'm telling you. Tony Chimble, one of my favorite ring announcers. The guy's, retired, but, he's still there from time to time. Tony Nese, great abs, not a lot of charisma. Next, Triple H. I don't believe that this guy is going to save the WWE, but everyone is under the impression that he will. This guy is more of an indie mark than I would have ever pegged him for in my life. I don't understand how he's such a big Balor fan. I mean, he's basically gone on the record saying that Finn Balor is sexy, saying that all the girls like him, even though, there's really not a big female audience for him. I don't know where he pulled those numbers from, but I don't know, guys. Triple H, he has really overstayed his welcome. I mean, this guy is an egomaniac. And remember when they were in India and he had to beat Jinder Mahal? They put the belt on Jinder Mahal to make the guy a big star in India. And then Triple H proceeds to beat Jinder Mahal in India. I mean, that just makes perfect sense to me. I mean, what can I really say? Triple H was brilliant back in, 98, 99, and 2000. But then after that, I mean, during the Evolution days, Triple H just started to take over this company. He was dating Stephanie McMahon. He started having a large stake in this company. I think that if Triple H completely takes this over, you see what the guy is doing with NXT and 205 Live. It's going to become an even bigger indie nightmare than it already is. Tucker. Okay, so him and Otis are just basically doing absolutely nothing on the roster right now. I don't know. They're just acting like two big goofballs. There's a lot of potential in their look and everything and their ability, but, do they really stand a chance in the current climate of WWE? Of course, The Undertaker. Why won't they let this man retire? He's given them so much. They almost have this guy kill himself in the ring in Saudi Arabia. He's doing endless appearances and everything. Why can't they let the man be? Now, I always will be happy to see The Undertaker, but why don't they at least make him the American Badass? Why don't they do something like that with The Undertaker? Him coming out, doing the big long entrance year after year after year. I mean, are we going to continue to keep popping for the same thing that we've been seeing for how many years already? He is a legend. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But there comes a time when you have to let this guy hang it up already. I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, I will always love The Undertaker. I'm always happy to see him. I'm always happy to see him on Instagram in good health and spirits. But, my God. They keep on covering for the fact that they don't know how to build new stars. They refuse to build new stars, and they count on all these old ones breaking their bodies. And I know that they're making big paychecks. Every time Taker goes, to Saudi Arabia, he makes a big-time paycheck. But, have some respect for this legend. They don't care. They don't care. It's all about the big bucks to them. It's all about the big bucks to McMahon. He doesn't care about the health of The Undertaker. As long as he's willing to do it, that's good enough for him. Victor, the Ascension. I mean, like I said, these guys, they've shown personality in the past, but it's basically over for them. Xavier Woods, probably one of the most irritating guys of all time. I know I should be a big fan of him because he's a big gamer. We're basically the same age. I think he's like a year older than me, Xavier Woods. We're like into the same type of games and everything. I get that, but come on. The guy is excruciatingly irritating. The trombone playing, everything like that. It was funny when they first did it because it was new, it was refreshing, but now it is old, it is stale. Break up the New Day, for God freaking sakes. Zack Ryder, I mean, what can be said about Zack Ryder that hasn't already been said by me? Cancer survivor, great podcaster, a self-made man on YouTube. And what did they do to this guy? They have complete... And I mean, the physique. You watch this guy. I mean, look at him. Zack Ryder looks like a star. Carries himself like a star. He doesn't complain. And it's like, oh, you don't want to complain, Ryder? Oh, we're going to punish you even more. Like... I don't know. Anyway, it's, Ryder at this point, it's a lost cause. But at least the guy is finding success in other avenues, such as his great major podcast that he's doing with Kurt Hawkins. Zelina Vega. She's great on the mic. She hasn't been out there with Andrade, I think. I guess maybe that might have something to do with Charlotte. Well, there you go, guys. That's the end. That's all of the wrestlers on the roster. Now, of course, this didn't include NXT and all that because we're not doing that garbage. Screw that. But there you go, guys. I did what I said I was going to do. I reviewed this whole entire roster. I did as I promised, and I think that was a lot of fun. This is a super long video, and if you made it all the way to the end, thank you for doing so, guys. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. Check out my Twitch account as well, guys. Follow me on there. Twitch.tv/TheBradRulesLive. And guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.